Hey, welcome everybody. Welcome one and all to the September live stream. Um, if you're like me, it feels like it's been like 4 or 5 months since we did a live stream. I think it's been two. I think we skipped July and August, and maybe we just skipped August. I don't know. I don't know. I've been busy. Had to cancel last week's, so it's kind of all over the place. So I think there's some of you guys already in, but we're gonna wait to get into the topics for just a couple minutes. Hey, Eric. Hi, Brian. Ishmael. Looks like you made it in time. Sean, what's up? I don't know that this live stream is gonna be a full hour like most of them are. It seems like I get long winded. I don't have a lot of stuff to go over. Um, I actually should like. I actually took me the better part of 2 hours to get the video cameras set up correctly. For we haven't used them in a while, and so they're all over the place. Hi, Anthony. They're kind of all over the place. The plugs were all messed up. So I was like, I don't know if I'm going to get this done. So there's some stuff that I didn't add to this live stream that we'll get to probably in next month's live stream. So just so you're aware, this one might be a little bit condensed, a little bit short. What's up, Scott? But I have a few topics. Some of them you guys will probably be pretty psyched. I don't know. Maybe you won't. Maybe you don't even care. So we'll give it a couple more minutes before we dive into the meat of what we're going to talk about tonight. As always, I'll answer questions if anybody has any at some point. Try to do that at a specific time in the live stream. What's up, Chris? Excuse me. I also didn't refill my water cup, so I got a little bit of water. Hopefully that lasts through the whole live stream. It's still summer here. It's not as hot as it was, but it's pretty warm. And all right, what's everybody doing? Happy Oktoberfest. Yeah, I'm not. You know what? I've never been a big Oktoberfest like person. You need me to drink that Oban? Ah, man. It's so there's the couple reasons I'm not sipping on anything right now. One is this is fall Arizona Restaurant Week, so it's put together by like a local nonprofit, Arizona restaurant nonprofit that basically works with different restaurants that basically put together menus specifically for the 2 weeks of the year that they do this. And basically what it is they have like three different tiers where it's like a $33 menu, like tasting menu, a $44 tasting menu, and a $55 tasting menu. And it's something like 30 to 50 restaurants that like basically are involved in this. And so one of the restaurants that I've mentioned in the newsletter, this modern Indian restaurant that we have here called Ferengi, they do a $55. Well, they might do it. No, they just do the $55 one. And so their food is just really, really good. Like I love Indian food regardless, but their Indian cuisine is like fresh and new. It's got new elements. It's updated takes on classics. Plus, it's not one region of India. It's like the whole. They take into account like Indian food from the entire continent, or from the entire country. So it's just a really like great experience. So we're doing that tonight after the live stream, and they have some pretty awesome cocktails too. They have some pretty awesome cocktails too. So normally I get cocktails there. So that's kind of plus. There's a special cocktail tasting tomorrow. So I'm kind of like, I'm not sipping anything right now. I do enjoy the Oban though, Ishmael. I do enjoy that. What were you listening to before you started streaming? I actually wasn't listening to music. Before the music that plays on this is YouTube music. It's basically like if you type in royalty free YouTube music, you can download stuff for like streaming or for use in video content that basically will, like, we don't monetize any of our videos, but it won't like flag our video for monetization reasons or take the video down or anything like that because there's a copyright issue. So I don't know what that is, what the artist is on that one. I can let you know it's just, I think the title of it is just some random list of numbers or something. Although I did listen to Friday's Spotify releases their release radar, where it's basically they curate a whole bunch of songs for artists that you've liked or listened to in the past. So I listened to the release radar, my curated release radar. This playlist today. Let's see. Was there anything that I'm looking at on my phone? So let me see if there's anything on it that I actually liked. Lately, it's been kind of all over the place because I've just been listening to random like soundtracks or instrumental stuff. So there's a band called Gunship, like Gunship, and then they released a new song with Gavin Rosdale of Bush fame and Carpenter Brute, which I believe is a DJ or drum and bass type thing. I don't know for sure exactly. They released a new song today that I gave a like to. And then there's a new track by hip hop artist Joe West called Loofah. Joe West is, I like hip hop. I don't frequently put a lot of it in the playlists that I send out, only because a lot of people, like, it's relatively divisive. It can be, even though I listen to a decent amount of hip hop. I found Joe West on TikTok because, much like my daughter and the younger generation, somehow I've become a TikTok person. So I'll have TikTok scrolling in the background sometimes when I'm just listening to things, and Joe West popped up. I believe he's from Brooklyn. He's a younger, like, this generation's rapper, but he's very much rooted in styles of like the 90s. So I don't know. I gave him a like a while ago on one of his songs called I'm Him, and then this latest one came up and it's got a really good beat. I like the way he raps. So other than that, I don't know what I've been listening to lately. A lot of like instrumental stuff, more podcasts than anything else. I'm trying to see what, like, the last few things. I listened to the new Slow Dive album. So if you know who Slow Dive is, they're what's the word? I'm trying to think of the genre they're in. It's like, oh man, I'm drawing a blank. They're a band that's been around for like 30 years, 25, 30 years, I think. Shoegaze. So they're a shoegaze band. They have a new album that's out. It's really good. I highly recommend Slow Dive. Their older stuff too, but this album's really good. I listened to the new Polaris album, which is called Feudalism. Polaris is a metal, like a modern metalcore band. Like, some would call them gent. They might be considered maybe a little bit of grindcore, but not as much. And then yesterday I was listening to the new Nothing More CD. Nothing More is like a modern rock band. They remind me of bands like, oh, if you ever heard Fair to Midland in the 2000s, I've featured them on some of my playlists before. Very unique vocal stylings and the rock and like modern rock, hard rock kind of range, similar to like Chevelle and bands like that. Very interesting vocalist too. So anyway, there will be, I believe, Sunday or Monday. There's going to be another music feature. So Eric, if you're into that, I'll feature some more music. Either I don't know if it's scheduled for Sunday or for Monday, one of the two. So look for some more. I'm trying to do one music thing a week instead of even if it's just a little bit. So hello, Maria. The random national days. I don't know that I put a random national day in today, but I think there is one. I'm trying to remember what it is today. It is something. It is National Double Cheeseburger Day. I knew there was one. I didn't fit it in because I was like, double cheeseburger. But it is National Double Cheeseburger Day. Normally, that's something that I would totally get down on today, but because it's Arizona Restaurant Week and we're doing something specific, no double cheeseburgers. I do love a double cheeseburger, especially if bacon, especially if it's homemade. If I can't make it on the grill myself, I'm gonna go to Five Guys to get a double cheeseburger. Okay, enough about that. Let's jump in to the actual topic since we're about 10 minutes into this live stream. So if you read the little first off, if you haven't noticed at the top of the chat, if you're listening and you don't see the chat, you likely need to be logged in to your Google account or whatever way that you officially view YouTube in order to be able to see the chat, the live chat, and click on the live chat. And then at the top of the live chat bar, there is a giveaway form. Please fill that form out. I have 5 entrants right now. But please, everybody else, fill that out because we are doing a giveaway for this live stream. And I'll show you guys the giveaway items in just a little bit after we go over a few things. So if you saw a little blurb before you jumped into this, or maybe you didn't see it, I don't know if you can see that before you jump in or if it's only available for people who read, who watch this afterwards. Basically, I don't have a lot to go over. I'm going to talk about pen show stuff. I know we're wrapping up the year, but I do kind of want to cover some shows that we're going to be at still, and then kind of just recap the shows that we've been at so far and kind of talk about that a little bit. Bob, I don't know if it only takes Google accounts now or not. I just use Google accounts with mine. It's possible it only takes those, but I don't know for sure. If you have an existing YouTube login, it might actually use your old login as well. I don't know for sure. It's kind of one of the reasons why I have a couple throwaway Google accounts, just so I can sign into stuff like this that I don't even look at for any other reasons. Anyway, so I'm going to go over some a pen show recap, basically talk about the shows that we've been to already, talk about the few shows coming up that we're still going to do. I'm going to talk about give out some more specific new pen news, and then kind of go. Then I'm going to show off the stuff that I've got for the giveaway, and then if there's any Q&As, we'll do a Q&A stuff, and then we'll kind of go from there. So, as far as pen shows are concerned, we've been to a lot this year. I'm trying to think. We went to the New California Pen Show at the beginning of the year, San Francisco, DC, boy, I'm drawing a blank, Portland, like you said. There's been a few that we missed that were on our radar, that were on our schedule. We were supposed to go to Chicago. That didn't happen. Supposed to go to the new, was it Miami show? Or Orlando show? We're supposed to go to that one. That one didn't happen. Also, the St. Louis show didn't happen. There was just conflicts on a couple of those, um, and then and then one of them was sold out by the time we attempted to get a table. Um, we went to the CCKS, which is a knife show, or Bill went to CCKS, California Custom Knife Show. The spring version, which is, I think it's in LA, I think, or one of the cities that is close to, but not technically LA. I don't know. You guys that live in that place like know it more than I do, but it's probably not. It's probably somebody in California is like, it's not really LA. It's whatever suburb or municipality or something else. Like, people are probably mad at me about that, but it's in California in the LA vicinity. And so I think those are all the ones we went to so far. We had a great time at all of them. Unfortunately, like after the DC Pen show, I know Tommy got super sick from that one. G wasn't very sick, but she was a little under the weather too. Orange County. Sorry. See, I knew Ishmael would jump in there since I baited him with all that California talk. But had a great time at all those shows, as always. It's one of those situations where it's like, it's really, really tiring to do a show as somebody who's like there. You set up super early, you usually stay late. It's really like, it's very, it's great. It's great to see everybody that stops by the table, even if you don't know everybody. It's one of those things. It's just like, it's a good experience. It's great to do, but it can be pretty taxing and pretty tiring. So in the past, we haven't done as many. We're trying to do as many as we can. We're trying to do one a month during the major months of basically from February through October. And then we're not going to do any in November, December, January. So we're not going to do, I think Ohio's in November, Detroit's in November, or something like that. We're not going to do that show. I don't think there are any in the States in December. I don't know if there's any overseas, but we're obviously not traveling overseas. And we don't have plans to add the Philadelphia Pen Show at any point in time, mostly because none of us want to go. Like, I like Pennsylvania. I've been to Pennsylvania. I've never been to Philadelphia, but I enjoyed my time in Pennsylvania when I was in Pennsylvania a couple months back. I don't think that I nor anyone else here would enjoy ourselves in Philadelphia in January. It's one of those things where if you're from that area, I think you understand. But I've heard stories of where it's like, oh yeah, this year was great. It was beautiful. It's perfect temperature. No, like just a little bit of snow that was kind of cleared up. And then sometimes it's like, oh yeah, it was like windy the entire time with a wind chill like that basically put it like at 11 below or some crazy insanity like that, where like we walked outside and everything on us, we were inside the whole time and we were sweating because it was too hot inside. Walked outside and the sweat immediately froze on our bodies. So it's one of those things where it's like, we're probably just not going to go to that show. If we get somebody that works here that really loves that kind of weather, maybe they'll bite the bullet and go to that one. But the plan is still to go to the California Pen Show every year, to go to Atlanta probably every year. I try to go to Chicago every year if we can get a table. Probably go to St. Louis at least every other year, if not every year. San Francisco and DC are always going to be spots that we go to. I think Bill is going to continue to go to CCKS every single year. Where he's going to be at the one in the end of October, I think it is. There's a fall one, I believe it's in October. So he's going to that one. Again, he really enjoyed being at that show. It's a different thing. It's mainly knives, but there's makers of all kinds of different things at that show. And it's just a one-day show. But he said, like, people were really cool, so he's going to continue to do that. We'll probably do Dallas if not every year, every other year. G's actually going to be at the Dallas show, so that's the next show that we have coming up. That is the last weekend of this month. So if you're in the Texas area, or you know people in the Texas area that like the Dallas, sorry, don't say Texas area, since Texas is like the size of like 5 states combined. If you are in the Dallas area, Dallas Fort Worth area, or you know people that are in that area that like pens or stuff like that, we do have a table. G, I believe, is going by herself to that show. It's a smaller show. It's a little more laid back. Shows like that in Colorado, you can kind of get away with just one person. Like even during like the busiest peak times, shows like that, like, you know, it's a little bit easier to do. I'll be at the Colorado show in October. I think it's like the second weekend of October. I don't remember exactly. I think it's like the 9th and the 10th or something like that. So I'll be at that show, and that'll basically like, and then like I said, Bill will be at CCKS. So that'll basically be the remaining, this year's, the 2023 remaining show schedule. G is going to have some, she's going to have one, like it's not really a show pen, it's a prototype, only because we only have a very small amount of this pen, of this decograph. It's like, I think she might only have like 3 or 4 that she's taking with her. We're going to try to salvage the rest, but even if we salvage all of them, there's probably only going to be 20 total. It's a really nice pen. I wish we had all of them, but like the material is a material that we're like not using anymore. So I guess we can segue. We're going to have, so I'll wrap up the pen show thing by saying the rest of the pen shows will have at least one show specific or prototype specific. It's like specific to that show. And if we have any extras leftovers, they'll be offered to the pen club members at their like normal discount that we offer those pens for. I kind of segue from that into, we have a whole bunch, we had a whole bunch of decagraphs that were made with a material that we're phasing out. So prior to Zoe getting a job elsewhere and leaving, she made 7 or 8 different decagraphs, different materials and colorways of decagraphs, between 20 and 50 of each colorway. But it was with a new material that we hadn't really used before, largely because Alumilite people can have allergies to Alumilite, and I don't know if Zoe actually had an allergy to it, but it did give her problems when we were using Alumilite. So we basically found a different material, started using that material, so that she could work with it a lot better. But it doesn't hold it. It's very difficult to work with in a post process. So when we go to like polish it and sanding and polishing process, it's very heat reactive, friction reactive. So we had to implement a different wet sounding procedure to ensure that weren't melting the bodies. And then it's really, 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 really touchy when it comes to polishing. So any type of particulate that like lands on the polisher that's even just minute, really tiny, can scratch into it because the surface is very, very soft. So we're working through those batches of those last 8 or 9 batches of decagraphs that Zoe made. We're going to try to salvage as many of those as possible and release those between now and the end of the year. Some will be at pen shows, other will be like some of the smaller batches of those will be pen club members only, and then we'll probably have a few of them for like the holidays or something like that. But we are trying to bring the decograph back completely. Now that Zoe doesn't work here anymore, G is taking on doing some of learning that process. So she's going to be pouring. We're going to be switched back to Alumilite because she doesn't have any allergies to it. She tested it and it doesn't bother her at all. So she started test pouring stuff and mixing different colors just to kind of see how that goes with that. And G has a really good relationship with Jonathan Brooks. We're frequently at different shows. We sit, our table is either right next to his or very close to his. So I know that he's given her some pointers, and they talk on the phone and via email, just to kind of like, hey, this happened when I did this, and he kind of is helping her with that process. So nice thing about that part of the community, a lot of the people that create their own custom blanks are super helpful. If you ask them, like, they don't consider each other, I don't know, like it's very non-competitive. Like, I know a lot of sometimes in the pen community, things can be a little bit contentious and seem like everybody's, oh, we're all competing. But in terms of like people that are pouring their own resins, Jonathan Brooks, the crew from Canalea, many of the other people that have poured or do pour their own resins have been extremely helpful whenever we have reached out to them. So we're really super grateful for that. So that's the plan for that for next year. A lot of the stuff that you'll see going forward, either in Decograph or Vertex form, will be stuff that G has poured. We're looking to bring Ultem back into the mix as well in Vertexes in the short run, and hopefully in Decographs in the long run. So that's kind of that update. I'm going really fast. I understand that because I got off on a tangent, so I apologize. Moving into the new pen news, we do kind of have a new pen that we have flown under the radar with in terms of like talking about, partially because it's a last minute thing. So Bill and myself and Josh, and mainly, but G also at certain points during the year, have sat down and talked about new pen designs and what we wanted to do in terms of that. And we've talked about new fountain pens, and those are still in the works. We have 2 different ideas for new fountain pens, or so a couple of them that use existing fountain pen technology that we have technology. So one of them that potentially would use the grip section from the Vertex, but the body and the cap of the pen would be totally different than the Vertex. It would have more of a traditional style and shape, but be larger, potentially, than the Vertex is. It would be at least the diameter of the Vertex, if not larger. And the cap would definitely be a larger diameter. So we're looking at a larger pen, but with a Vertex grip. And part of the reason for that, for using that grip, is because the grip of the Vertex is one of the reasons that that pen is as successful as it is. There's a lot of pens that look like that pen. There are some pens that function like that pen. But there aren't very many pens that have a grip section like that pen that really lend itself to multiple different grip styles. So we're looking at using that grip section technology and then basing another pen around it that's more of a traditional, has a clip, it is a little bit larger, stuff like that. So that's in the works. We're also looking at some new technology, new to us technology stuff that we haven't done in terms of fountain pens. But that I'm not even going to tell you what that is, but that potential thing is very, very far off, and that would be in conjunction potentially with another developer, because it's kind of a joint process. Not another developer, somebody else who's approached us specifically to make a large volumes, and it's a specific pen design that they're wanting us to try to come up with our version of. So it's one of the reasons I can't really talk about it. It's not our project altogether. We would be doing the manufacturing, potentially a lot of the design work, It's just somebody that's like, hey, I really like this. It doesn't exist. You're in the same state as I'm in. Can you potentially do it? So fingers crossed. Maybe it'll work. Maybe not. And maybe it might not ever come to fruition. We've only had a couple different conversations with that person about this pen to date. And this goes back like a year and a half now, I think was the first conversation. So it's a process. The new pen that we have coming out, for all of you people that complain about the Bolt and why don't you just have a side knob on it? I don't like the fact that it has the side clicker. Why don't you just have the side clicker? I can't stand the fact that there's actually a plunger on it or a knob or whatever. Just make it like everybody else makes it. Okay, we're making it like everybody else makes it. So we've decided to. Josh sat down basically with the Bolt, the way that it is, and tinker with a whole bunch of different things. Number one, we're going to have a clip-through technology similar to the ink clip. So it's going to have a clip that goes through the top of the pen itself, and is held in place by a dovetail joint in the back, and then it's threaded in through the bottom with a thread that holds it in place. And then we're not having a traditional round knob, side knob like type thing. We've done it in a way that it's shaped a little differently. It has a little texture on it, and it moves, in my opinion, a little bit more freely than some of the ones that we've used. It doesn't. One of the reasons that we've never done it before is a lot of them they stick off the pen, the bolt portion of it, the actuation portion on the side, protrudes off the side of the pen to the point where it's intrusive when you're carrying it in your pocket or whatever. It protrudes off the pen farther than the clip on some of them. They're these gigantic knobs that stick way off. And sure, that means that you can definitely get it with your thumb and push it down and slide it over. But it's also going to jab you in the side of it if you're carrying it in your pants or in your, you carry, pick up a box and it's you got it in your shirt pocket and it stabs you, whatever. It's just unwieldy. It's unrefined, in my opinion, on a lot of them. Now, that's not all of them. Some of them look great. Some of them function awesome. So we're making something that's a lot closer. It doesn't protrude off the pen very far, just enough that there's positive contact needed to actuate it with your thumb. And then we still have to get the exact spring tension. So we're gonna have springs made specifically for this pen, like all of our other pens. And I think that's another reason why other pens in the metal pen category don't function as well as they should, because a lot of companies, I think, just decide to use off-the-shelf springs. And so you're at the behest of the spring tension that somebody else designed for somebody else, for some other mechanism. It's not designed for the mechanism of your pen. All of the springs that we use are designed to spec by us. And so we partner with a spring company that makes our springs with the exact twist rate, the number of coils, the spacing of the coils, and the type of material that's used, so that we can get the correct tension for each pen and for each specific refill. And this pen will definitely have it requires a different spring. So you're not going to be able to use the bolt spring in it. You're not going to be able to use the bolt spring in it. It's going to have that same diameter of spring. It's going to have fewer revolutions of the spring, probably spaced the same distance apart. So it'll be a little bit softer, but there's not going to be any chance. It should not deploy in your pocket the way that we've designed the mechanism. It's going to be basically a deep carry clip because it's going to go over the top of the pen. I was looking for the prototype because we have a prototype around here. I couldn't find it, so to show it off. It's going to be slightly short. So I don't have a bolt here either. I know. Dang it. Okay. So if you have a bolt, actually I do have a bolt. So it's a G2 size, it holds the G2 refill. It's going to use the G2 refill natively. But if you take off the knob of the bolt and just a little bit extra, that's basically going to be the body. So it's pretty much, it's slightly shorter. So my whole thing the only thing that I told Bill was, if we do another version of the bolt, number one, it had to take a G2 refill or 110 millimeter refill, because that's the most popular refill. And it needed to be no longer than the EDK. Because the EDK is kind of like the size that I thought that we needed. Like, because if you have the same size of bolt as this, like what's the point of having doing a bolt with the side thing that's the exact same size as this? Like, it's the same thing over and over. But if you can shorten it significantly, but not make it a mini bolt and have it still use the G2 refill, because this pen, the most frequent question we get asked about the bolt or about the EDK is, will it accept the G2 refill? It won't. But the new bolt, it's not going to be called the bolt, but the new pen is basically, it's like a hair shorter, maybe an 1/8 inch shorter than an EDK, but it takes the G2 refill. It's not going to be called the BLT. It's going to be called the modal, MODAL. And so modal is a term that is used in all different types of, it has a bunch of use case scenarios, but specific to machining, CNC machines specifically, a modal type of programming is something where it's kind of like, Bill and I were kicking around terms like instinctual, like you instinctually know how to use something. The whole thing with the mechanism on that feels very instinctual. It feels very like just normal. And so like a modal form in terms of, I should probably just look it up and read it, but it can be difficult to understand. G and M codes are, generally speaking, modal. They cause the machining system to change from one mode to another, but to go back and forth. Like, it's basically you set them in and it just does what it's supposed to do. The mode stays active until another command changes it. So when you're using coding, it's basically like it's in Bill's terminology, he's like, it's like the machine is instinctually knowing what it, like modal codes are the machine instinctively knows what to do. And so and that's kind of the idea behind the mechanism. We needed to have a reason to make our version of that pen. One of the reasons that we made the version of the bolt that we did was because nobody else was making one with a top style knob that basically utilized a J slot in terms of capturing and actuating a refill. It was just these big kind of things that were stuck off the slide that looked weird, and people took advantage of the fact that it looked like a bolt action rifle and it was like aggro and cool and whatever. Like, that's great, like if that's what you want, but it's not, again, it's not refined. Like there doesn't seem to be a lot of thought in terms of why. And so I think when we decided to do this, it was like, why would we make our version of this besides just everybody asked us to do it? Like, what is the reason behind us like falling to peer pressure? And I think there are several different bolt action pins out there that are great, that have a very like usable J slot that has a low profile like slider on it, and those are great, and they're out there and you can find them. But we thought we could do our own version of it where it's just the feeling of it, the movement of it is just like second nature to a person. It fits in their hand, it feels right, it functions correctly, and it fits into our pen profile. And once we found that design and that element and all of that stuff, then we were like, okay, we can proceed with this, and that's what we did. So that's kind of where we're at with this pen. It does so like if anybody's curious, it does utilize the lower barrel of the Bolt V2. So the initial run of those that we have will just be smooth lowers, smooth bolt lowers. They're going to be, but you'll be able to put on any of the bolt lowers that you own onto that pin when you get it, and to change up, like if you have any like of the grip section, like we're basically out of, I don't have any fluted, I don't have any dragon skin, and I have very few frag left. And when we do make versions of the modal with their own lower body, like the lower barrel, they will have their own specific grip texturing that we're going to add to them. So we're going to put some time and effort into figuring out what those will look like. But you'll be able to swap them between the two. Obviously, like I said, since it just natively takes the bolt lower portion. So it's not a new pen completely from the ground up. The technology behind the way that it functions and actuates, the whole upper portion, the clip is a brand new clip. The upper portion is a brand new upper portion. You won't be able to use the same bolt upper at all. It's a different shape, it's a different size. We're going to be using, so the slider inside of it is going to be Delrin. We're going to be using black and white Delrin sliders from the jump, just because Delrin is super smooth, and it's going to feel really nice in terms of, like, the ones that we've tested feel amazing. Like, they just slide, like they're smooth like butter. Whew, okay, so that was the new pen news, for lack of a better word. Hopefully you guys are psyched about it. Like, I have been one of the biggest naysayers in terms of, why are we just going to make another bolt? Like, I'm one of the biggest ones around here. Like, every time it gets brought up, I'm like, why are we going to do that? Why are we going to do that? Why are we going to do that? I'm actually pretty psyched for this pen. It adds a lot of different things that the bolt doesn't have. It looks different enough with the upper portion of it. There's some customization stuff that we're going to be able to do with it that we can't do on our current pens, even with the aluminum clips that we're implementing on the current bolts and the EDKs. This clip looks cool. It looks like the ink clip, and I really like the ink clip, so it's something that's completely different. Okay, so you can stop staring at me, and I'm going to show you. We're going to switch cameras real quick here, maybe. There we go. All right, so let's talk about what we're looking at now. So the three Speedsters are the three prizes for the giveaway on here. So first place prize gets the Cerakote, the gray one with the black wheels. Second place prize gets the blue anodized. Third place prize gets the black anodized. Those are the giveaway items that you're signing up for. So if you've jumped in at the, recently and you didn't hear me, pinned at the top of the chat. If you're not signed into the chat, you need to be signed into so you can see the chat. So sign into Google. At the top of the chat, there's a Google form to fill out for a chance to win one of these wonderful, Speedsters. So there's 16 people that have completed the form right now. I have no idea how many people are in the live stream. It tells me 36-ish currently. No, sorry, nope. 21 currently. So If you haven't filled that out, you got a little more time. I'm going to draw that in the last like 5 or 10 minutes. So you guys will know that you've won, who's won or who hasn't won. So there is that going on. So as far as the pen, so that decograph, I don't know how zoomed it is. So let's here. I don't want to do that. It always messes up. Let's see if I can. Zoom in a little bit closer. So this decograph is the decograph that will be in Dallas. So it's a black base with gold through the whole thing. So I don't know how good you can see it. Like I don't have my normal light set up today, so I'm running off one light instead of 3. So it's a little bit. I don't have the best lighting system in here, but you can kind of see black clip, like really nice hardware. Looks great with the brass on it too. We have some of the ones with the brass going. The thing with this one is like I really like the gold on the ceiling vertex that we did. I wanted Zoe to see is so we did, Brian, we did have like 1 or 2 of these in Portland that had some issues. We've fixed the issues. Hopefully yours didn't have any issues. This one is going to be available. Like we have 4 or 5 of these now at the Dallas show. Super nice. It's amazing looking. Don't believe me if it looks awesome. You can believe Brian. It is an amazing. The material looks super, super cool. Like I said, I wanted something similar to the gold on the ceiling that we did with the Vertex. And so I asked Zoe to kind of do something with a black base, like gold throughout. So it's a really nice. We were able to fix the issues that we had with that pen. Oh, I'm glad that you were fixed it, because if not, we could replace it. I'm glad that you got it fixed, because we didn't realize they had issues until we went to put together all the other colors, and they're like, all these like are having problems with them. So yeah, we have now fixed them all. If you want us to do the official fix on yours, we can do that as well. Like we have basically a machined an insert in the pen in order to get the finial to fit correctly. So it's up to you. So that's the pen that we're going to have, that G is going to have in Dallas. But I wanted to give you guys a chance to see the pen itself and the 3 speedsters that we're doing for the giveaway. That way you can kind of see what the giveaway is for. Alrighty. Okay, so that's basically all I have to show off today. It's kind of all I have to talk about today. I will open it up to questions, Q&A, and then I'll get I'll give people a time if they haven't completed the giveaway form. Please click the link at the top of the chat, complete the giveaway form, and then we can go from there. So let me do this. I gotta get this ready to go for the drawing. But until that time, when is the modal releasing? Okay, so I'm hoping to have some Adam asked, when is the modal releasing? I'm hoping to have some modals, fingers crossed, available at the pen show in October. But it probably won't. But that's really like kind of it's heavily dependent on how the prototyping phase has been completed. So I'll start there. We've completed the prototyping process. We had to tweak a couple different things, but now that we know the clip functions the way that it should and everything else is good on it, we're basically moving into production on both the clips and the uppers. Realistically, there's nothing else on those machines currently, so it should, like, we could have prototypes to be able to pull within the next 2 weeks. Now, having them in actual colors or materials other than like the raw aluminum version, it is like kind of up in the air. Like, I don't know. I would like to have some at the October show. It's much more likely that they're not going to be available until sometime in November. I will say that this year's anniversary pen, one of them will be the modal in whatever version that we do. I think we're also going to do a retract because this year is the 10th anniversary of the retract. And then we'll also have a fountain pen of some kind. I don't know what, we haven't finalized those. Like, it's kind of, this is the most scatterbrained we've been this year in terms of anniversary stuff. Largely because this year's just been up in the air in terms of production all over the place. So we're kind of throwing it together at the last minute. The Speedsters were yeah, they were based off of like kind of like the Pine Box Derby type cars. That was the original, like that, and like old school, like early racing cars. Brian, and what materials are we releasing the modal? So we plan on doing initially aluminum, brass, and copper. Initial tests with Ultem are good, so we should be able to do an Ultem version of the pen, and then that's kind of where we're at right now. Those are going to be the three. Aluminum, brass, and copper are going to be three for sure, potentially Ultem. We don't have any plans on doing any other materials in the short term. Like, we've paused all titanium production. The cost of titanium has gone up significantly. The ROI on titanium has gone down dramatically, just in terms of we just could not, like, we cannot sell enough titanium pens to justify making pens out of titanium in the market that it's in today. Even if we somehow figured out how to make pens out of titanium tubing like some other manufacturers use. So though the aluminum, brass, and copper is going to be the go-to from now on, along with Ultem for the modal. Bob, is the red and gray Cerakote bolts is a dark blue underneath. Did they have an earlier life? Yeah, so basically those pens were supposed to be blue anodized, a matte blue anodized, for a release much like this pen, this blue anodized EDK. But the anodized was completely destroyed, so I couldn't sell them. And so we basically to get a good coat of Cerakote, we anodize the pens first. They're just normally they're anodized in just a clear, like a clear no bright dip, and then that allows, it keeps them relatively clean and uniform, so that when he sandblasts them just to get a nice texture on the outside of the pen and to spray the Cerakote on, it just adheres a lot better to anodize for whatever reason. We anodize all of the Cerakote pens anyway. Normally you just can't tell. Those just happen to be blue because they were messed up. I sent them over there wanting to get blue anodized pens, or blue Cerakote pens, but unfortunately I filled out the PO incorrectly and put gray instead of blue. And so then he was like, what do you want to do with these? And we're like, well, I'll just do a red distress. And so he basically did his own thing on those. So yeah, that's why they look that way. Chris Edison, we do not have plans to bring the brass cubes back until the cost of that material comes down. That material, we have, in order to get that size of square brass ingot, we have to custom order it. and that puts it outside of the price range of just like the standard brass that's on the market. So it has to be custom made for us, and it's just way too money. Like nobody would pay $600 for a brass cube, and that would it's basically, I think the last quote we got on it, was 5 times the cost of the brass that we got quoted in like 2021 when we thought brass was at the highest. So yeah, it's not going to happen anytime soon. Michael, smoke transparent grips in stock soon. Yeah, so we're out of stock on a whole bunch of the Vertex grip sections, but we're having more made. So if you know, we don't make those in-house. Those are molded. It's a 2-step process. They're molded out of Macrolon, which is I'm drawing a blank now. Macrolon is basically what bulletproof glasses are made out of. They're molded with the internal threads mold and the O-ring molded in place, and then we basically bring them in, and then we machine the outside grip profile. So though they're ready at our molder, we have a whole bunch of different colors, all the colors we had before, plus I believe we're also getting orange and pink and some other colors done, but they're ready. We just have to go pick them up and then machine them. So we should have many different colors back in stock, hopefully in the next couple weeks. Chris, will you do a box set of those 10-year specials? I don't think we'll do a box set of those. I'm actually have a plan. We have 2 different box set plans that are planned, and they're not 10-year versions. One is just one is just a curated, it's just a curated, like it's all of our custom line pens. So it would be Render K, bolt, a retract, an ink, and an EDK, a retractable pencil, and then now that we have the modal, it would be that. It would basically kind of be an overview of Keras through the years, through the pens that we released. And so we have the idea to do that. They'd be curated specifically for that release with different potential finishes or colorways or something to kind of bring it all to show off different aspects. It's kind of still in my brain working. I think the plan on something like that is to do that next year, because is it next year? Oh man. Just because we don't have the time to do it this year. But yeah, we're probably going to do something like that next year, maybe. Mara, what is the big deal about titanium? So titanium is lighter than stainless steel, more durable than aluminum, brass, or copper, but heavier enough than aluminum to be noticeable. It kind of splits the difference between aluminum and brass. I, for the longest time, kind of was like, whatever, titanium. But having used the titanium bolt, it is that perfect weight for that pen for me personally. Like the titanium pens just add just enough extra weight that makes it comfortable enough more than the aluminum version for me to reach for the titanium version more often than not. So in terms of comfort for me personally, that's where it's at. I think a lot of it just has to do with the fact that a lot of people like to material coordinate between other EDC stuff. So like watches are made out of titanium, and knives are made out of titanium, and fidget toys are made out of titanium. So it's kind of like one of those type of, I don't want to say it's hipstery, but it's just it has its place in the EDC community that kind of makes it where people, like to have it because they're used to having it in other products. Yeah, if we did a set like that, a box set like that, Chris, in terms of something like a retrospective, Karas Customs retrospective, it would for sure be, they would be serialized. We do a limited number of them. It's just the plan, many of the plans for the box sets and the stuff that we had for this year just kind of like went out the window when the economy started going the way that it was going, and we had to kind of reprioritize like where we were putting things and what we were planning and how we were working through this year specifically, just in terms of prioritization of new products and prioritization of special releases and pricing and stuff like that. So it's just it's, if you talk to anybody that's in this industry right now, it's real tight, real tight. Any plans for engraving? So every time we say we're going to do engraving, it gets a little more difficult. This is the latest update on engraving. I'm attempting to add an easy way to implement it on the new website that we're developing. And if that works, then yes, it will be available. We do not have any plans to do anything in bronze in the near future, and if you ask Bill, we don't have any plans to do bronze in the long-term future either. Bronze was cool. It was what it was. It is not a we made money. Okay, this is how I'll term it. We made money on the inks that we did. We were able to price those at a point where they made us about the same margin as all the rest of our pens. We did not make any money, and we probably lost money on the bronze bolts that we did because they didn't sell. They were not nearly as popular. People were like, why am I going to buy this for $120 when you have this brass one that looks exactly the same for $90? So we ended up marking them down significantly and selling a good portion of them at a dramatically marked down price. And so it just wasn't, it definitely doesn't make sense for us to do them right now with the market being what it is for luxury goods like ours. And so we're just not, bronze, much like titanium, is definitely on pause in the short term. And if there's a bounce back in the pen community, even if it's just a bounce back, not like, even if you throw out like the 2018 and 2019, if we went back to 2017, we would likely move back into titanium and bronze. But the way that the market this specific market has seen a massive decrease in consumer confidence, purchasing power, whatever you want to call it. It's not wise for us to invest that kind of money in a product that we cannot currently sell. So we do. I will say this: We have about 40 Bronze Inks bodies that don't have matching knobs because somehow we didn't make enough bronze knobs. I'm going to anodize some titanium knobs and do some special clips for those pens, and that'll be the last bronze that we release at some point this year or early next year. What about a modal short that would take the Parker style refill? Andrew, I don't think we're gonna do that any shorter. I believe we're setting up that pen to accept the same the same kit that we use for a retract to switch from a G2 to a Parker style refill. So it should be able to use that same technology, and you should be able to use a Parker style refill in it. It won't be shorter, it'll still be longer, but I don't think we're going to do anything shorter. Now, it's possible, don't hold me to this because we haven't tested it yet. It's possible that you could just put an EDK lower on the modal upper, and that might work, but I'd have to actually look at the dimensions to see specifically whether it would work or not. We're still going to bring back, so Mara asked about fountain pen ink, like what we did with Pape Plume. We do have plans to get more ink. I just need to do that. It's on my list of things to do is to order ink, but my list is really big right now, and that's kind of way down at the bottom. Okay, I'm gonna pause the questions and answers. I'm gonna run the. I need to run this random generator to see who gets looks like there's 17 of you. There we go. 5. All right. Did this do it right? Excuse me. All right. I have the winners. Are you ready for me to announce the winners? I know we're getting all serious here, but I know the lag here is terrible. Like me asking that is like, oh, I gotta wait 30 seconds for you to hear what I said before. Yes, we're here. Okay, so here we go. The winners are as follows. In third place for the black. Let's switch screens. There we go. Third place, the black Speedster. The black Speedster is going to Brian Marsh. Brian Marsh, congratulations. Congratulations. Brian Marsh, you are the winner of the black Speedster, which does in fact roll, as you can see. Hopefully you don't already have a black one, but if you do, you can give this one away. Second place, the blue Speedster is Mara Christian. Mara Christian, congratulations. You are the winner of the blue Speedster. Blue Speedster, congratulations. It also rolls. If you care about it rolling, you can race it around the house. And the first place winner, first place winner is DES Murph 12, which I believe that is Mr. Sean Murphy. Is that you, Sean Murphy? Sorry, I put Mr. in there. I don't want to assume anything like what's your preferred Mr. or, doctor or professor or what have you. But I believe if you're still in here, that is for DES Murph, which I believe is Sean Murphy. It does not roll because these are fixed so that the Cerakote does not get chipped. Okay, congratulations to all the winners. You'll receive an email, not today, it'll probably be Monday at the earliest, for the winners. Sorry, guys, if you didn't win, I apologize. If you're not a winner, but, when we do the giveaways, we like to do, 3 or 4 of the giveaways during the live streams. We'll definitely have a giveaway. The plan is to have a giveaway, two more giveaways during the live streams at the end of this, before the end of this year. We likely will, depending on how busy it is. I don't know that we'll do a live stream in December, so it might be a giveaway in October and November, or whatever. But we're still going to do some giveaways. So. All right, so that's all. So that's all I've got for today. Went a little bit over, but I was asked to answer all your questions. If you have any further questions, you can go ahead and post them in the comments after this closes, or you can send us an email. Thank you guys for being here and being engaged and involved. As always, I really appreciate it. It's kind of one of those things where if you guys don't show up, then I just sit here and I look sad and I start to cry, and then it's just, then it's a terrible live stream, and why bother? But with you guys here, everything's cool. It's fun. Have a good time and all that. So enjoy the rest of your guys' Friday. We'll see you here next month if you can make it. So let me just remind you, if you can make it, hit up the Dallas Pen Show if you're in and around there. That's going to be the end of September, last weekend of September. G will be there. She's going to have a whole table of goodies. The fall CCKS is in California, in the greater Los Angeles area. It's a knife show predominantly. There are pen manufacturers, at least I know. We are going to be there as a pen manufacturer, but I believe there are other pen manufacturers that are also there. And if you're in the Colorado area, Denver area specifically, in October, I will be there at the Colorado Pen Show, and I'll also have some, as much cool stuff as I possibly can have. Other than that, I'll talk to you guys next time. Next month, we're going to go over Coin Club art for next year, anniversary pen stuff, and just to give you guys a preview, anniversary stuff, potentially a more in-depth look at the box set ideas that we have, and then other new product that we're prototyping before the end of the year. So, all right, there she is. That's it for the September live stream. I really appreciate it, guys. Have a very safe weekend, and I will see you here next month for the October live stream.